47 as a gift from the nation of Qatar for President Trump to use as Air Force One. Democrats and Republicans have questioned whether this is legal or practical, given the cost of the overhaul required to make the plane meet security and military standards.
A federal judge says the Trump administration violated a judicial order and may be held in contempt for trying to send migrants to the African nation of South Sudan. Here's Nicole Skanga.
CBS News has learned these 8 deportees, originally from 6 countries, including Laos and Cuba, are in limbo in the East African nation of Djibouti, deported on a privately owned jet leased by ICE. A federal judge believes the men, convicted of crimes ranging from armed robbery to murder, were not given a meaningful opportunity to object their removals. Lawyers for the men say they were deported after being told they'd be sent to South Sudan, a country plagued by an ongoing armed conflict.
And 5 inmates have now been captured after escaping from a New Orleans jail last Friday. 5 others still on the run. A lawyer for a maintenance worker accused of helping the inmates says they intentionally clogged a toilet so he would turn off the water, which then allowed them to remove the toilet and escape through a hole in the wall.
One of the tools the federal government uses to fight misconduct by local police departments is the consent decree. A police agency agrees to undertake reforms and is monitored for compliance.
Today, the Justice Department said it is ending investigations of 6 police agencies and canceling decrees proposed for Louisville, fatal shooting of Taylor, and Minneapolis after the murder of George Floyd. Here's Skylar Henry.
There's so much hurt here, I mean, in the community, with the cops.
When we spent the day with Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara on Monday, he told us he was expecting today's announcement.
The consent decrees don't worry about fighting crime. I do.
The consent decree in question, court forcible agreement mandating federal oversight over the Minneapolis Police Department. It aimed to eliminate racial bias and excessive use implementation until today.
Do you feel as if the police department even needs one in the first place?
We need to be building trust. That's for sure.
He needs to build trust because the community is still hurting from the 2020 killing of 46-year-old George Floyd.
It feels like at one point this intersection was at the center of the world because of what happened here.
The level of crime in the city skyrocketed. At the same time, the numbers of the police force just diminished. 2 years later, half the police department was gone. Well, people in the community were experiencing violence on levels they had never seen before.
Today, the DOJ said we are ending the Biden Civil Rights Division's failed experiment of handcuffing local leaders and police departments with factually unjustified consent decrees. Chief O'Hara's perspective is more nuanced. His department is still under a consent decree with the state, and he says he'll continue with reforms related to arrest practices and use of force, regardless of what's going on in Washington.
It's not enough to just do consent decrees. There's more that we have to do to change the reality of how people experience policing on the street.
So, Skylar, given that those state consent decrees are still around, how much will this federal decision actually affect the police departments and how they do business?
Well, that's the interesting thing, John. I think time will tell on that front. But to your point, because there are still state consent decrees still in effect and other efforts as it relates to police reform and several other of these departments that were being looked into, I think that many in leadership say that they will continue to try to do this work, and that includes Minneapolis, as Chief O'Hara says that it will take time to make sure that things get back to the way they used to be.
Okay, Skylar Henry, thanks so much.